Hey, got some thoughts to share with you. So I've said this before, but I had found TikTok for many months to be a really fascinating thing. And to me, it looked like one of the stronger tools I've ever seen in terms of encouraging a faster awakening process for both the individual and the collective. I am still of that opinion. But things have changed. Many of you all, I'm assuming, are aware that there was all this talk of a TikTok ban, and it did happen. It was very short. It came back online hours later, and I was keeping my eye on it thinking, what is really going on here? And if I want to stay in connection with people that are on this same journey as I am, how am I going to keep that connection? What am I going to do next? Now, I don't have the answers. I'm just taking my very best guesses like anybody else. What it looked like to me is that, well, really the internet itself. I guess I'm speaking more specifically about various social media apps such as Facebook and Instagram, which I completely deactivated and deleted this week. If I continue to find out that TikTok is going to be more of a tool of manipulation and source of misinformation, I will too delete that app. I think what I have found out in these last few days is that it is far too disempowering for me to be on any of these apps. I can feel it. I can feel it in my body. I can feel it in my spirit. I can feel it in my mental state, my emotional state. And the message that I have been getting is it's a time to stay as clear and light and grounded and well as possible. And those things aren't contributing to that for me. And what I am seeing is that it's becoming harder and harder to find any semblance of truth on the exterior. And I'll leave it at that. I don't want to get into any crazy detailed discussion of Meta or what is happening in our larger governmental body, because that kind of feels like it just spools up a heavy, low vibrational ball of angst and isn't necessary. And I am looking to help myself and to say things somewhere that could be of use to somebody else. That's why I'm sharing this here. It may sound a little out there to some of you, but I've got to share my own truth first and foremost. And, it's pretty fascinating to me that so many different wisdom traditions that eventually morphed into religions, how if you look at many of them, if not all of them, side by side, there's a very similar thread. And it makes me wonder how in different parts of the world, within these different cultures, are all of these people receiving really a very similar, if not the same message, put in different ways, told through different stories and metaphors. Through all of my studies, and more importantly, my experience, is that we are each connected to an infinite truth, an internal knowing. We all have the faculty of intuition. You know, I had run into this lady at this event at Casa de Luz one night, and we were similar. We were sitting right next to each other, and we really just kind of hit it off, and kind of birds of a feather. And she had sort of been out of the life loop for a while. She was living outside of the States and was very focused on some creative work of hers. So she had been disconnected for quite a while, just from people and from conversation. And she was really shocked that she and I were sharing a similar message that we were both getting. And to me, it wasn't a shock in the least. It was completely normal. I can't even begin to tell you how many people I know have kind of gotten this idea of, we should all get land and, put some little places on this land and think about living communally and growing food. I mean, and I did start that process. I did buy some land. I do have plans to use that and eventually build up on it. I'll say my little side note here. If anybody is looking to live on some land, there are plans to eventually get electric and water on this land. It's not there right now. It's raw land. But if anybody's looking to kind of rent some space for inexpensively and live about 45 minutes outside of Austin. Let me see, it's east of Austin. Contact me. Because I'm thinking about just kind of putting this out there more publicly in case that is intriguing to anybody. Anyhow, back to the point that how are so many people receiving that same message? To me, it's simply people that are doing something in their lives to encourage this connection that we have to infinite resources of information. And to me, there's some people are just born with this sense of connectivity, of a greater knowing, of a high, clear, intuitive faculty. And I have also noticed that there's some people that kind of come to that through various practices. For me, because I can only really speak for myself, these last few days have really solidified to me. And I'm so glad that I have been doing this, been sort of preparing and clearing out and creating this more quiet internal space for myself. It makes me feel more safe in the world, because when I was keeping my eye on what was going on outside, it felt 10 times heavier than it did even, I don't know, just a few days ago. It felt 10 times worse. It felt 10 times more false, more manipulated. And so I wanted to just throw out some ideas for people to cultivate that more quiet internal space. I was literally just talking to an old buddy of mine, and she's going off to Mexico early February to do a 10-day silent retreat. I know this is something she does every few years, and she's a really serious meditator though, and not everybody's going to want to go off and do 10-day silent retreats. I'm not going off to do 10-day silent retreats. I do meditation retreats, but it's not 10 days in silence. I don't think there's any one size fits all. To me, it's any practice that encourages you into a state of flow. A lot of athletes experience that. rock climbers, runners, any sport really, soccer, tennis, basketball. It's these repetitive movements that get you into your body and quiet the mind, and you lose a sense of time, and you're so engaged in what you're doing. It's like the outside world disappears. State of flow. There's various therapeutic practices that can help you start to move inside and question yourself and look at, old false narratives and stories that are kind of keeping you feeling stuck or ill at ease. A high quality yoga practice. I'm just now thinking of like a kirtan, if there's a group and everybody gets together and chants. I mean, I know that they do that every now and again at Casa de Luz. I know that there's a breathwork class there. You would just need to check on their schedule of events. The offering I have created lately, and I have made it as financially accessible as possible. And really, if I'm creating anything, I'm putting my whole heart into it, and have the clearest intention that, whomever is engaging in this thing is receiving the most benevolent outcome from that practice. A regular practice of painting or drawing. These are other examples of these kind of meditative practices that help you to move inside. If we can spend more time inside, because here's that law I love to just state all the time: where you move your focus, where you move your attention, you're moving your energy. Now, for those couple of days, I was really letting my energy go out there, because I thought, I have got to see what is happening. Where are we at in this process? And it doesn't look good from my end, doesn't feel good from my end. So I'm moving my focus back inside, because I cannot trust any information that I'm receiving externally right now. Very little. And if I receive anything, I put it up against my own. I'm like, what are my insides saying on this? How does my heart feel about this? Is it resonating with this information? And I am tuning inward for what is true and what is not true. I don't know if any of you, have any friends or people in your life where you see them spending a lot of time online and maybe spinning out on some of the information that's being pumped out there. I've even had good friendships end lately because of this. And it just seems like now it's even more pertinent to start to pull our energy back from external sources and engage in ones that are having us look at ourselves. Maybe I feel like a broken record to some of you, but hey, repetition is what do they call it? There's a saying that my brain is just not going to grab onto right now, but to me it's it's a master learning tool. Repetition. I know I have heard things over and over and over and over and over in my life, but then one day I hear it again, and maybe said differently, and I'm going, oh my God, that's what that meant? That's what this person was trying to say? Oh my God, I can't believe it took me this long to even get that. But that's been my experience. Oh, I hope everybody's doing okay and is just feeling as good and stable as possible as things continue to change. It feels like it's going to be a pretty intense year, but another word for intense is exciting. I'm going to leave things at this. So I've been thinking about different videos to make, and there's one I'm very excited about because I learned something recently from one of my classes that shocked me. And I'm looking into some pretty esoteric stuff. It's all based in quantum physics, which I don't want that to sound like some weird, fancy, woo-woo out there term. To me, it's not. It's the study of the really, really small. It's the study of the subatomic world. To just put it this way. Scientists in the Western world, that practice itself is about 200 years old. And anything that is tested by those standards have to be recorded on a device. And that device is only going to register electromagnetic energy. Quantum physics has discovered that only 4% of the cosmos is electromagnetic energy. The other 96% is something that quantum physics is referring to as dark energy. So, think about those numbers compared. 96% of something compared to 4% of something. So, the truth of reality is so much bigger than we in the Western world have been able to even begin to comprehend. And on the next video that I put out, I'm going to share this thing that I learned. And it's like, when I know this kind of information, there is absolutely no way that I can doubt at all that there is a larger source of infinite information that we all of us have access to through stillness practices. So I'm excited about that video. I hope people watch it and are as, I was breathless from learning this information. And I want to share these things that are affecting me so deeply. So anyway, love you all. That's what I got for now. More later.